Module 2, Lesson 9, Sums and Differences of Decimals. Sometimes it's easier to change mixed numbers into decimals before you add. Sometimes it's easier than finding the least common denominator. For example, 1 1/10 and 2 3/100 could be written in the decimal form 1 1/10 and 2 3/100. Notice that the 1 is in the tenths place and the 3 is in the hundredths place. Now they can easily be added. You can put a spacer here if you like. Don't forget your decimal, and you will have 3, 1, 3 for the answer of 3 13/100. So notice that 1/10 in the fraction form became 1/10 in the decimal form, and 3/100 in the fraction form became 3/100 in the decimal form. Sometimes it's not quite as easy as the last problem to find the decimal equivalent of the fraction, but it can still easily be done. For example, 2/50, you could multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2 and get 4/100. So 2/50 could be written as 4/100. 1 and 4/100. For the 1/5 up here, you could multiply the top and bottom, the numerator and denominator by 2 and get 2/10. So that 2/10 could be written like this: 3 and 2/10. So what we ended up with is 1 2/50 became 1 400, and 3 1/5 became 3 2/10. Now they can easily be added. Put your spacer, don't forget your decimal, and you'll get 4, 2, and 4 for an answer of 4 24/100. Alright, let's take a look at problem number 4. Ben needs to replace two sides of his fence. One side is 367 9/100 meters long. The other side is 329 3/10 meters long. How much fence does Ben need to buy? Well, he's going to need to buy this much plus that much, because that's how much he's going to need. So it might be easier to make these into decimals. So these ones are quite easy. I could add 329 3/10 meters plus 367 9/100 meters. You can see the 9 is in the hundredths place and the 3 is in the tenths place. I'm going to add my place setter, space setting, and now I can easily add these up. Don't forget your decimal. I'll have 9, 3, 16, 9, and 6. Whenever you're doing a word problem, it's always good to go back and think about what the question asks you and to see if your answer is reasonable. The question is, how much fence does Ben need to buy? Well, the answer is going to be Ben needs to buy 696 39/100 meters. So this was a good example of we're changing a mixed number into a decimal actually made the problem easier. Let's take a look at this problem. Number 5. Mike wants to paint his new office with 2 different colors. If he needs 4 4/5 gallons of red paint and 3 1/10 gallons of brown paint, how much paint does he need? Well, he's going to need all of this and all of this, so you're going to add them together. Now, you could find the least common denominator, but in this case it might be easier to change both of these mixed numbers into decimals. Well, 3 1/10 can easily be changed into 3 1/10. 4 4/5 you might have to convert, but it won't be hard, because 4/5 you could multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2 and end up with 8/10. So then you could change this 4/5 into 8/10. So instead of 4 4/5 you could have 4 8/10, which makes this problem easier. 3 1/10 plus 4 8/10, which would be 7 9/10. Whenever you're doing a word problem, it's always good to keep in mind what the question is. How much paint does he need? I would say, Mike needs 7 9/10 gallons. Module 2, Lesson 9. Sums and differences of decimals. But wait, there's more. Call now and get 2 spin mops and the Sticky Buddy. Shipping and handling not included. Separate handling fee may apply. But wait, if you keep watching, you're going to get a free homework problem. Make sure to come to this website for more free homework problems. This is homework problem number 1. Jamie and Edwin went on a road trip that was 331 7/50 miles long. They've already driven 134 57 hundredths. How much further will they have to drive? Convert to decimal, solve and answer with a complete sentence. So far they've driven, the whole trip is going to be this far, and this is how far they've driven so far. So if you think of it like this, if this is the whole trip, and this is how far they've driven so far, you'll subtract to find how much further they have to drive. So it's a subtraction problem. So we're going to try to change these mixed numbers into decimals to make them easier to subtract. So 7/50, you could multiply the numerator and the denominator by 2 to get 14 hundredths. And 14 hundredths could easily be made into a decimal. So the first number will be 331 14 hundredths. The second number that we're going to subtract is already in a easy to convert form. So 57 hundredths would look like this: 134 57 hundredths. Now it can be more or less easily subtracted. We may have to borrow, but 0. Forget your decimal, borrow again. 5, 2, 6. Well, lots of borrowing in this one. So you end up with 196 57 hundredths. Now this problem says to answer with a complete sentence. And again, with each problem, it's good to look at it and decide if the answer is reasonable and what the question is. The question is, how much further will they have to drive? And our answer looks pretty reasonable, 196 and 57 hundredths. So let's go ahead and answer this one with a complete sentence. They will have to drive 196 and 57 hundredths. There you have homework problem number 1. All done for you.